This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals, and we're doing an audio interview just due to the fact that the internet connection is not so stable for a video interview, as George is in Zimbabwe. He's meeting with the Chamber of Mines. Well, thank you very much for joining us, George. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. A little frustrated, Mark, but otherwise good to talk to you as always.
Indeed. Well, we're going to get an update on really the sort of the status quo of Prem at the moment and the status quo of Zulu. So let's have a few questions to go through. These are mostly picked up from shareholders. The first one, if I can put to you, what is the recovery grade of spodumene so far?
Mark, I've covered in a previous RNS the fact that we had been recovering spodumene at times right up above 6% Li2O. But the experience really is that at the production that we can put through at the moment, the grade is saleable, but is not at the standard that that Canmax is looking for. And I think I've indicated very clearly that we are going through a process that is going to require some additional conditioning. I've referred to it as scrubbing, conditioning, and that these are components that we expect to have installed and operating. I think in an RNS, I mentioned the 14th of July. That date has probably come in a little bit. I think the other thing worth mentioning about this is that the cost is really in relation to the overall project of this is de minimis. And the OEM has given us significant terms on this. When I say de minimis, I'm talking less than a couple of $100,000 US. And if you think of the total cost of the plant and so on. So it's not a difficult issue. It's not a big ticket item. The other point that I think is being missed is that the process of optimizing and finally getting the entire plant commissioned and working properly is a step-by-step one. We had to start at the beginning with crushers and sorters. That's all out in the marketplace. We've spoken about all of those. Then we went into the milling, where the comminution was simply inadequate. We had to get in a new mill. That new mill was only installed earlier this year. Then we had the dissatisfaction with the OEM because the commissioning and integration of it couldn't happen properly. We've changed that. We've put in a thickener. The thickener is in, the mill is in. Now we've got proper feed, and we can put proper feed at the right tonnage into the flotation circuit. And some of the issues that have been addressed already, that are out there in the public domain in the flotation circuit, are now able to be identified, properly understood, and properly remedied. We believe that the additional conditioning, scrubbing that is due to go in and is a work in progress right now is probably the final step in allowing us to then let the plant run continuously, which it can do if we want it to run continuously at the moment. Let it run continuously and expect it to recover more than the relatively low recoveries it's getting at the moment. The lower the recovery, the more expensive the operation of the plant becomes. And in increasing the recoveries, getting to the grades that this plant is designed to produce, and that we are able to produce in our laboratory, and that we have incidentally also produced in the plant, but not on a continuous basis at the 6%, which is where we really want it to be. So I hope that helps clear up some of that.
Well, yeah, I hope so, because I mean it is in the RNS, as you referred to. The design for the additional conditioning circuit, also known as the scrubbers, as we talked about, required is complete, and most components are either on site or on order. Projected delivery date on site is expected end of June 2024, and provided this timeline is met, installation and integration is expected to require a further 14 days. Normal operations are not expected to be impacted. And this is expected, and as you've just reiterated now, to be the final component to allow recoveries to begin at design capacity. So we're expecting that without any delays at the moment around the 14th of July, and that will be the final step to be able to get to the SC6 production and that nameplate that you're aiming for. Is that correct?
Well, Mark, most importantly, we will be able to expect recoveries of spodumene that are going to run, our lab workers indicated, in excess of 85%. Now, at the moment, the recoveries are significantly lower, but it's the recoveries that are the main issue. Otherwise, one is sending spodumene to tailings. Now, this, to be frank, this is an original shortcoming in the original OEM's designs on this thing. And I'm going back to the original ones, the ones that aren't there anymore. This was their circuit. They put it together. So it frustrates me immensely that we still have this issue, as much as the fact that it's taking a little bit more time to get it done.
And are you saying to shareholders, just on a final thought of this, almost give me until the 14th of July to get this final component in place, and then let's see where we are with the production of this plant?
Mark, at the end of the day, I think that is what I'm saying. I've given my heart and soul into this operation. At the stage that I am in my life, I had, and our shareholders will recall that a year ago, I had advised the board that I really wanted to step back, that we needed to find other people and somebody else. I'm conscious of views that feel that should be happening now. I am looking hard in every direction to do what I have to do and what I can do for the betterment of this company. The other extremely important issue that is so often lost when with a focus on Zulu is that Premier has other assets. We do have RHA, which is a fully equipped mine. I've recently reported on further conversations, and we are confident now that there will be resolution to that. The price of ammonium paratungstate is way up. That could be a very nice operating situation if we get it back into production. At the same time, manganese, another one of these critical metals that Prem has interests in, is operating. The prices are up. These are things that we should be trying to take advantage of. And then along the way, we are involved in a joint venture in the Mutare area, and there are due diligences on the go. And part of my reason for being back in Zimbabwe now, apart from Zulu, is also to be associated with site inspections and the DD that is ongoing in regard to that, with a view to a significant alternative investment, which, whilst it's not there, the indications are that this has a fair chance of having a good outcome.
If we talk about the export licenses then, George, last time we spoke, you mentioned that it was a procedural matter. So I want to ask you, how is that procedure going time-wise?
Mark, as I've said, this is procedural. Before all of this goes through, inter alia, you need to understand what's in the product. It needs to be analyzed because the Zimbabwean authority wants to know. So you've got a line of 1-ton bags, and each and every one of these bags needs to have a special probe inserted into it, material removed from that bag. Then that material is composited, dried, milled, and then sent to an independent laboratory outside of Zimbabwe. You wait for the results. When the results come back, they get tabulated. It then goes on to the markings on the bag. And eventually one can get through to the point where you've completed your procedural basis for this thing. I mean, I don't know how else to say other than it's a progress. It's a work in progress. It's procedural. This thing doesn't happen instantaneously. I can't predict how long an independent laboratory is going to take to analyze 1,000 samples or whatever it is. It is a progress. It is a work in progress.
Okay. And then if we just think about at the moment what product is sort of sat ready, maybe not at grade or indeed getting to that grade, waiting for that shipment. First of all, are you able to ship anything at the lower grade at the moment to help with some of the cash flow concerns?
Canmax have the right to take all of the product. What product can be or is there, and how much of it depends on how one averages out the grades. Bear in mind that you can have a bag that has got 1% Li2O in it and another one that's got 6.5% Li2O in it. They're all different. This is coming out of a continuous operation. It's not a case of being able to say, well, every single one of these things is identical or the same. Maybe we'll get to that in time, but at the moment it isn't. I cannot express the depth of frustration that I have over something that is really it's relatively petty in regard to the overall operation of where this thing is going.
Okay.
I have difficulty in coming to terms with the fact that when the plan for this plant is that it'll produce 4,000 tons a month, 4,000 one-ton bags. There is a process that we have to go through. I'm not quite sure what it is that's expected. And it is what is happening. It is the process. Yeah.
Okay, I get that, and I can definitely feel the frustration on your part. Probably, twofold. The fact that you're working to get there, and there's the frustrations of actually getting to that point, but also you're probably feeling the frustrations from echoing what shareholders are feeling as well. And when it comes to their concerns, which hopefully are your concerns as well, particularly when it comes to the financial or the cash position of the company here, the frustrations that I pick up from the shareholders are that there's the concern about the cash. So it feels like running out of money and options. And just a couple of comments that I picked up. I'm worried about how George will manage the finances, the business costs until we get producing. It's almost certain we won't ship this month, and we believe the raised funds will last a month more until they need to raise again. Another point, I have real concerns about how cash burn and no income until the end of July. Can we conserve cash? We can't take further dilution. It's demoralising for long-term shareholders. Perhaps George Roach should consider salary sacrifice until regular shipments are indeed established. So is there anything on the financing you can say in terms of what financing options might be available other than shareholder dilution with sort of 2/3 of those shares already being those 2/3 of those shares approved already being used to raise money, and shareholders would probably be not so happy to be asked to raise the ceiling again. When it comes to the other financing options available, or indeed thinking about scaling back operations to conserve cash until you've got to that point that you can get in steady production, what's the thinking and what's the reassurance that you can give to shareholders that that's on the forefront of your mind as much as it is of theirs?
The only thing I can say is that as a shareholder myself, I am deeply and continuously conscious of exactly this. I don't like the way we have gone about the last 6 months or so, possibly longer. I think that with hindsight, the almost it's almost been a case of penny pinching in some ways, just to get to that next step, and I think that that's been wrong. And I think that is compounding part of where we are at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the one side. On the other side of this thing, I can't with certainty predict anything in the future. But I think that we've been down such a serious road with this plant now. I think that in the last several months, the dramatic advancements that we have made, and they have been dramatic in the last 3 or 4 months with this. And I think the confidence that our new OEM has in regard to the installation of this additional conditioning scrubbing circuit, and what's likely to come of it, together with, I have to say, we are continuously looking at other optimization opportunities for this plant. We are continuously looking at other ways of improving the cost structures of it. We are continuously looking at how quickly we can deal with solar power, for example. We are continuously looking at where we are with the dense media separation work that has been done to try and recover tantalum and to improve the spodumene side of this as well by processing our fines. That work is done. We're waiting on laboratories for results. There are so many of these areas that are ongoing, including an examination of the further potential of the spodumene tailings. What is left after we've retracted the spodumene? How much value there is in that? Is the prospect of high purity quartz something that we should be doing? All of this is top of mind continuously, together with the fact of how can we get the most out of the little money that we have available. It's extremely difficult, and I've been clear on this on numerous occasions, that Prem is cash constrained. We are looking, and we continuously look to see if there are other alternatives. It's ongoing. It's a work in progress. And to be frank with you, this company and myself are bending over backwards to get this done. We have made immense sacrifices, everybody at every step of the way. I too am a shareholder. I share the frustration of our shareholders, but at the same time, I maintain a very strong and positive view of the future of this. We haven't brought it this far. We haven't been able to exploit this resource and demonstrate what we really have. For us to actually sit back now and just kind of want to throw in the towel, as it were, that's the last thing that's going to happen with me. It's the last thing I'm going to allow for this project.
Well, thank you very much indeed, as always, for your time. George Roach, the CEO of Premier African Minerals.
Mark, thank you very much indeed.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.